Hi, my name is Emma Wild, and I'm going to be discussing two important developmental theories that I find incredibly interesting. I will also be acting them out with some participants to help gain better understanding of how these theories work in the real world. The first theory that I chose is Vygotsky's sociocultural theory. This theory is developmental, as aforementioned, and essentially places great emphasis on cultural development. It does not view development as occurring in distinct developmental phases or stages, such as Piaget's theory, but rather views human development as a lifelong continuous process. Within this theory is the zone of proximal development. The zone of proximal development is what I'm most interested in and what I will be acting out later on in the video. So this zone of proximal development is the space of what a learner can do on their own without assistance, and what they can do with guided assistance from teachers, parents, or perhaps the influence or collaboration with peers. So this zone of proximal development is incredibly important for the individual to learn through social interactions, cultural influences, rather than being guided step by step, being told the answers to things, or having a helping hand through every stage of life. The second theory that I chose is Bowlby's attachment theory. This theory proposes that the emotional and social development of an infant is primarily rooted through their relationship with their parents or primary caregivers. Bowlby's theory is rooted in the premise that infants are wired to form attachments in order to form their best chances at survival. Throughout life, from infancy to childhood, Bowlby suggests that there are 4 different phases that the individual goes through: undiscriminating social responsiveness, discriminating social responsiveness, active proximity-seeking behavior, and goal-corrected partnership. From these attachments, children develop specific attachment styles that play out through all of their relationships throughout their entire life, such as an anxious attachment, secure attachment, avoidant attachment. And Bowlby's theory explains why infants grow up with these certain attachment styles. And that is what I will be acting out later on.
Go on. Man, I really don't know why I can't throw a spiral. I really need some help. After observing my peers, I now know how to throw a spiral.
Wow, Archer, what a great spiral.
Thank you, Chris.
Okay, in this first skit, we see Archer struggling to throw a spiral, while his peers are obviously throwing spirals perfectly fine. Clearly, Archer has no problem with throwing the football, but he does have a problem understanding how to throw a spiral. Yet, by watching his friends throw it correctly in the video, he was able to see what they were doing and apply what they were doing when they threw their spirals to his throw, and learned how to throw a spiral. This seemingly normal and over-exaggerated situation is a perfect example of zone proximal theory. There was an extent of throwing a ball that he was capable of doing, and that space was limited. However, he expanded his space of learning by observing other people and growing in his knowledge of throwing the football, hence strengthening Vygotsky's theory of human development.
Wow, look at how beautiful our little baby boy is. I'll always love him.
Me too.
He's just the best.
Go.
Mommy, Daddy, watch me throw this football. Are you proud of me?
We'll only love you when you can throw a spiral.
Go.
All right, guys. What about now?
Fine, but we'll only really love you when you start for UNC.
When will it be enough? When will they love me unconditionally?
Go.
Oh my goodness, it's so good to see you. I cleaned your room, I did your laundry, I fed your dog. I even called your mom on Easter to tell her how good she was.
Babe, you didn't have to do all that. I would love you either way.
You mean to tell me love isn't based on actions and it's not conditional? I wonder if my parents raised me to think that it was.
So now that we've demonstrated Vygotsky's sociocultural theory, we move on to Bowlby's attachment theory. Following Vygotsky's sociocultural theory skit, we have 3 different scenarios where there are 3 different parenting situations, leaving Archer, the kid, growing up with 3 different attachment types in each video. All of these are based on Bowlby's attachment theory, which is individuals grow up and form relationships primarily based on the love and affection their primary caregivers gave them. So let's run through the first situation briefly. In the first scenario, Archer's parents are very inconsistent. They appear to love him sometimes, but then only appear to love him if they do something for him. They show him that love is conditional, causing him to grow up with the innate fear that he is only lovable if he is consistently doing things to please others. This leads to him approaching every relationship anxiously, which could potentially harm his relationships later on. Go.
Hey, Mom and Dad, you will never believe it. I went D1 for football. Can you believe that? See here, watch this. Watch this throw. Watch this throw.
That's great, son.
Have you seen our stock portfolio today, honey?
Yes, I've handled our assets accordingly.
You know, sometimes I wish my parents weren't as neglectful as mine. Mom and Dad, don't you love me? I got like a 100 in psych, in biology, and physics, in all my classes in college.
When does our trip to Cancun start, honey?
Our plane leaves at 10. We need to be at the airport.
No matter what I do, it's like they won't notice me. It's like I'm talking to a brick wall. I can't even get all A's or go D1 in a sport. It's just like I'm not even here. I don't exist.
Honey, why didn't you just tell us something was wrong?
I'm fine. Doesn't matter.
Honey, what's wrong?
I'm fine. Don't worry about it.
Look, why can't you just open up to me? It's why I'm here.
Maybe it's my parents' fault that I don't open up to people. I just don't feel comfortable with it.
We have reached the end of the second scenario, where in the skit, Archer's parents seem to be very neglectful. He comes to them with his accomplishments, hoping that they would be proud of him for doing the very best he could, and instead he gets brushed away. They ignore him, they're on his phone, they push him to the side. And then later on in the skit, you see Archer very upset and his parents ask him what's wrong, and he's unable to tell them because he's scared that once he opens up to them, they're just going to neglect him again. This leads Archer to grow up with an avoidant attachment style, which makes it more difficult for him to open up emotionally or reach out for help. Seeing him later on in life with his partner, asking him to open up and he's unable to do it, he realizes that he wasn't able to open up to his partner because his parents made him feel like he couldn't open up to them.
Mom and Dad, watch me throw this football.
Aw, Snookums, I'm so proud of you.
Great job. That's a great job.
Hey, Mom. Hey, Dad. I got a C on my report card this semester.
Baby, I've always known you're destined for so much more than an exam, okay? This isn't an end, it's the beginning.
I want you to know, no matter what you do, we will always be in your corner.
And besides, we can just cancel our trip to Cancun and help you study for the next one, buddy.
You really mean it?
I do,
We
I
do.
do.
Thank you so
Family hug.
Oh my goodness, I cannot believe my parents made me feel so good and supported.
Hey, how have you been doing, honey?
If I'm being honest, I'm kind of upset.
Gotcha, well, what's going on?
Well, earlier this morning my goldfish died and we had to flush him down the toilet, and that's a really big emotional thing for me.
What can I do to be here for you?
Just be here and support me. That's all that matters.
I can do that.
Wow, my parents really set me up for success because I realized that I'm loved no matter what.
We have reached the end of the third and final situation that demonstrates Bowlby's attachment theory. In this situation, Archer's parents were emotionally stable and a reassuring guide for him, providing him enough support for him to recognize that he is lovable and led him to build healthy relationships where he knows his worth. In the video, Archer struggles on a test and he struggles to throw a football, but his parents are there and tells him that no matter what, they are proud of him and they will do whatever it takes, such as canceling a flight to Cancun, to help him grow and to be better. This situation allowed him to grow up knowing his worth. While these situations are very exaggerated, they still show in some way how parents shape individuals' ability to form relationships, as Bowlby suggested in his theory. Thank you so much for watching the video, and I hope that it was somewhat entertaining as well as educational.